How to make early retirement easier. Easier to do and easier once you do it. These are 3 things I did to make it not only possible, but easier for me to reach financial freedom and retire early. And then I continue to do to make my early retirement easier. And at the end of this video, I'm going to do, if I can, in less than 1 minute, explain how I did it, how I reached financial freedom and made work optional so that I could retire early. But the first thing I like to do is something I do because of an oath that I've taken. I raised 3 picky kids as a single father. And I've taken an oath, once they turned 18 and moved out, that I will never cook again. So I like to eat out. That's not very frugal. What I'm going to talk about is 3 non-frugal things. And this is the first one. I don't want to cook at the house. Now, the frugal thing would be to eat at home. People say, well, I can make a meal for less than $5. Right, but you traveled to the store, you shopped in the store, you learned where everything was at, you watched the sales, you bought the stuff, you paid for the stuff, transported it at home, stored it at home, probably had a lot of it go to waste and threw a bunch of it out. So that $5 meal was a lot of your time. You had to cook and prepare the meal, you got to eat, then you had to clean up. Versus I like to go out and eat. But now here's the human origami I'm going to twist myself in to make this make sense. Thank you, Matt. I don't like restaurants. Let that sink in. Now, I will go to a Denny's for a local meetup because they have enough room. They're open 24 hours a day. And if you've ever been to a Denny's with me, you know that I get a piece of pie or a milkshake because I don't like eating at a restaurant. I don't like to spend money at a business that makes money off of the thing I'm spending money on. Process that. When I go out, instead of going to restaurants, I find a casino. Now, casinos plan on making money from people who gamble, so I don't gamble. Or I find the bars in my area that have good food. Now, you have to hunt because most bars don't have good food. They have bar food. But you can find the ones in my area. It would be like the 2121, the Black Star, or Everybody's, places that actually have really good food, who plan on making money from people buying alcohol. Now, I don't drink when I go out. You've been out with me? I'm trying to think if I've ever, I do once in a while, I get a drink out, but I don't go out and drink when I go out. I go out to eat. So I get better food, pretty much at cost, because these are 2 companies that are planning on making money off of gambling and alcohol. And this is where somebody will jump into the comments. I know all 5 of you who are going to say, well, if you go out to eat, you're not eating healthy. All right, Skippy. That makes you think for a second that I was going to buy healthy food and eat it at home. That's not happening. I don't teach people how to live better. I teach you how to live more. Find the restaurants that have the healthier food. Have the diversity of food when you go out. So that's the first non-frugal thing that I do. The second non-frugal thing that I do that made it easier to save money to retire and makes early retirement easier, because the lower we have our expenses in retirement, the easier that retirement is going to be. And I want you to understand, this may not apply to the EV drivers, but the concept is the same. So pay attention, because the concept is what matters. I drive an F-150, a pickup. And it's really weird, as a Marine, a former cop, a truck driver, to say things like, the F-150 is one of the most common vehicles owned and driven by millionaires in the United States. And yes, I'm a millionaire. Passed that threshold in 2020, passed $3 million in net worth in 2023. So thank you, inflation. But I drive an F-150, mostly because I travel and I'm not in the country much, so I don't care what vehicle I have here, but it's safe and it's functional. It'll do the things that I need. Now, the frugal thing to do if you own a vehicle that isn't an EV would be to change your own oil. I guess the real frugal thing would be to never change your oil and just see how long the engine lasts. Let me know how that works out for you. But if you change your own oil, people think, I can save money. That's not actually true. I don't change my own oil. And it's not because I'm lazy, which I am, which is why I wanted to retire early and why I made work optional and why I found cash flowing assets to replace my income so I didn't have to sell my life 1 hour at a time. It is still possible, you goober. The person that was thinking of attacking me in the comments, because go ahead, I'm going to put you on blast. I changed my oil, but I don't use oil changing service stations. Let that sink in. Process that for a minute. I don't like spending money at a company that is making money off of the thing I'm spending money on. So if you go to an oil changing service station, they change oil. They have overhead. They have the building, the rent or the mortgage, the insurance, the licensure, the labor, all of the expenses that go into being there so they can change your oil. So they have to have a margin for profit. So what I do in my non-frugal, frugal thing, I don't change it myself because it wouldn't save me any money. I find something like a collision center, a transmission replacement center, a place that does auto body work or engine rebuilds. And I find that place that does oil changes in my area at cost of materials. So I can go and buy the materials for $18 to $25, depending on which version you're going to use. Or I can go to a shop that does the oil change for $18 to $25. There's a place in my town that does it for $22. There's a place in Lakewood, Washington, right up by JBLM that does it for $22. Same materials I would use if I went and bought it and did it myself. They're doing it at cost because here's how they make money. The purpose of that oil change at that place is not to make a profit. It is to develop a relationship with somebody that they're going to make a profit from when they are a returning customer with a larger ticket item. The benefit to them is they are building a relationship with me when they do the oil change at the cost of the materials. Not because they're going to get my job when I have a larger ticket item, but because they're going to be one of the companies that I get an estimate from when I do have a larger ticket item, so it gives them a shot at getting the work. The third thing, non-frugal fruit, don't you land on me. The third non-frugal frugal thing that I do that made it easier to retire early and makes early retirement easier. And I did this recently as a demonstration with my friend Millennial Mike when we flew to Gary, Indiana to look at his entire portfolio. You can do this the way I did it on this trip, or you can do this with Amazon or other online places like Lowe's, Home Depot. When you're going to buy something online, don't. What I do is I go online to the website where they are selling the item that I want. So on this trip to, it's an attack goose coming to get me. He's not sure what I'm doing. He's going to talk to me in a minute. I'll let you know how this ends. Hi. That's close enough. It's nature. I don't want to get any on me. And so for this trip to Gary, Indiana, I wanted to have a rental car. So instead of going online and renting a car, because now my friend Mike is about $1.240 tall, and so I couldn't rent a compact car that would fit a homunculus like myself. I wanted a vehicle that he could fit in, and so I wanted to rent a more expensive car. I go online, I look, they're $40 to $60. Now, the ones I want might be a little bit more. So I go and I book the dates. We're gonna be there this date to this date. I select the upgraded car that I would want, and I put it in a shopping cart, and then I don't buy it. You can go to Amazon, you can pick the thing that you were looking at, put it in your shopping cart, and then don't click buy. Now, what happens is companies spend a ton of money trying to figure out where their target rich environment is. When you are shopping for a specific item, you are the target rich environment. The company is normally going, hey, people out there in the world, here's this item that you've never seen before in your life, but you know you just can't live without. That's what a commercial does. But when you have specifically targeted the item that they're selling, they know that they don't have to waste their marketing research to get you, so they will give you this discount. So when you put it in your shopping cart, now you sit back and you let patience be your friend, and somewhere between 0 and 3 days later, you're going to start getting emails that say, here's 25 to 50 or more % off of that item you were looking at. So I rented the car for our trip to Gary, Indiana for $21 a day and got an upgraded Jeep that he can actually fit in. Flying for him sucks because of the height thing. I think he should be like Frank, old guy REI, and do first class. These are 3 frugal things that you can do that are not frugal, where you're going to get the same thing that you would have got otherwise, but at a better price. Financial freedom is possible, and I'm going to wrap this video up as quick as possible because I'm trying to make a video that people will click on, because I understand that if you want this information, it is presented in my longer live streams that come out Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, where I answer all questions, and they usually go a couple of hours. So for those people that say it's not possible and you have to be privileged to reach financial freedom and it must be nice, let me know in the comments, because it takes a decade. which means if you start today, yes, it's not possible. You're not going to do it in 2 months. But if you start today, you are the graduating class of 2034, making work optional and never having to work again in your life. Because let's go back a decade. A decade ago, a little more than that. I'm a single parent, 3 kids. Find out about $89,000 in bad debt in my name I didn't know existed until the divorce. I get laid off from law enforcement because of the 2008 housing crash, because when cities aren't making money, they don't need cops anymore. Got a job at a CDL school making $17 an hour. So low income, high debt to income ratio, high bad debt. Absolutely not possible to reach financial freedom. Took 10 years. In the videos on my channel, I explain how I did it, the process, the multiple paths, and many of them don't even involve real estate like the path that I chose. So if you want to find out what those paths are, you have a choice. You can either come to my live streams on Tuesday or watch some of my other short videos that are coming out, which I'm tending to do on Thursdays or weekends. Or you can bitch and complain in the comments and let us laugh about it in my live streams. The choice is yours. Choose wisely. Until my next video, thanks for coming to my Dion Talk. You're not snarky. I'm snarky.